My legs are shaking. I'm trying not to look down, but I can't help it. I can see the water far, far below. And if I fall right now, I'll fall 230 feet slam bang into this river. I swallow as I wonder, why on earth did I decide to do this? Hey, it's Alex. I'm in Vancouver, Canada, and I'm about to do one of the craziest things that you can do in this city. And this isn't the only time I put my life on the line during my trip here. But I'll come back to that, trust me. You'll want to learn from my mistakes. Rewind to earlier in the day. It's a sunny morning in Vancouver, and I'm starting my adventure at Stanley Park, one of the city's most iconic spots. If you're new to the city, this is a great place to get your bearings, and by great, I mean breathtaking. The park sits right on the edge of downtown, surrounded by the ocean. The path along the seawall stretches for miles, hugging the coastline, with views of the city skyline on one side and forest on the other. I don't walk the entire 28-kilometer loop. Who has that kind of energy first thing in the morning? But the bit I do walk is enough to get my adventure juices flowing. As I wander through the park, I come across the Brockton Point Totem Poles. Now, these are something special. They're towering, intricately carved pieces of art, each telling a story of Indigenous people of the area. I spend a few quiet moments admiring them, thinking about the deep connection between the land and the people who have lived here for centuries. By mid-morning, I'm ready for a change of scenery, so I head over to Granville Island. If you like food, art, and unique local shops, this place is basically heaven. The public market is packed with fresh produce, seafood, and baked pastries that look almost too good to eat. Almost. I grab a smoked salmon bagel. Vancouver's known for its seafood, so I'm putting this salmon to the test as I take a seat by the water. My teeth sink into the perfectly crackly crust of the bagel, and now I'm chewing on silky, slightly salty salmon. The best salmon I've had in a long time. As I eat, I take in the view. It's incredible from here. Boats bobbing in the marina and seaplanes landing on the harbor. It's one of those moments where everything feels perfect, until a seagull swoops in and wrestles with me for the last bite of my bagel. Spoiler, he wins. After that little seagull bagel robbery, I've developed a healthy distrust for birds. So, seagulls of Vancouver, I'm on to you. Granville Island is also where you'll find some incredible local artists. I wander into a glass-blowing studio, watching as they craft these intricate, colorful glass pieces right in front of me. It's mesmerizing, and for about 10 minutes, I seriously consider dropping everything and becoming a glass blower. Then I remember I can barely keep a paper cup upright, so maybe I'll stick to traveling. Right after this, I end up 230 feet in the air with my legs turning into jelly. But I'll come back to where I was because it's the highlight of my trip that I'll remember for the rest of my life. The next day, I decide to take on another adventure. Now, no trip to Vancouver is complete without a visit to Grouse Mountain. The Grouse Grind is notorious. It's a 2.9-kilometer trail that's basically all stairs, and not the nice, easy kind either. These are the make your legs burn and question your life choices kind of stairs. It's nicknamed Mother Nature's Stairmaster for a reason, but of course, I'm here for the challenge. About halfway up, drenched in sweat, I start to wonder why I thought this was a good idea. But when I finally reach the top, the view makes every painful step worth it. From up here, you can see the entire city, the harbor, and the surrounding mountains. It's one of those wow moments you can't really put into words, though the wow might also be from my legs finally giving out. If the grouse grind sounds too intense, don't worry. There's a sky ride that'll get you to the top without the sweat. You'll still get the same amazing view, minus the burning thighs. In the late afternoon, I make my way to Gastown, the oldest neighborhood in Vancouver. I stop by the famous steam clock, a quirky landmark that puffs out steam every 15 minutes. It's a bit touristy, but still fun to see. Gastown is a mix of the old and the new, with history around every corner, and high-priced souvenirs too. After wandering for a while, I stop at an interesting small street food stand selling Japa dogs. My first thought is, what on earth is a Japa dog? Turns out it's a Japanese-style hot dog topped with teriyaki sauce and seaweed. It's surprisingly delicious, and it's a good example of how multicultural Vancouver's food scene really is. Speaking of great food, the next morning I start my day with a famous donut from Honey's Donuts. I totally get why it's Ryan Reynolds' favorite. It's deliciously light and fluffy. After Grouse Mountain yesterday, I decide to take things a little easier, so I head over to Deep Cove. There's a popular hike here called Quarry Rock, and while it's not as intense as the Grouse Grind, it still gets the blood pumping. The trail winds through the forest, and at the top you're rewarded with an insane view of the fjord below. As I stand here taking it all in, I'm feeling pretty proud of myself, until, of course, the inevitable happens. On the way down, I step on a wet rock, and boom, next thing I know, I'm on the ground. Not just a little stumble, mind you, I'm talking full-on, legs in the air, cartoon-style fall. My life flashes before my eyes. To make matters worse, there's a group behind me who saw the whole thing. One guy comes over all worried and asks, "You okay, man?" I nod, trying to play it cool, but I can feel my face turning red. Deep Cove is beautiful, but maybe just a little slippery too. Consider that your fair warning. After that little mishap, I'm ready for something a bit more laid back, so I make my way to Kitsilano Beach. Locals call it Kit's Beach, and it's the perfect spot to kick back and watch the sunset. The beach is buzzing, with people playing volleyball, kids splashing in the water, and paddle boarders gliding by. I grab a spot in the sand and just chill, watching the sun dip below the horizon. It's the perfect way to end a day packed with adventure. But wait, I haven't told you about the most nerve-wracking part of this trip yet. Remember at the beginning when I was gripping onto the railing for dear life? That moment wasn't just a random trail or hike. It was me 230 feet above the Capilano River, walking across the 460-foot-long Capilano Suspension Bridge on my first afternoon in Vancouver. This bridge is insane, awesome, epic. But let me tell you, when you're out there and the wind starts swaying the bridge just a little, and you look down, every step felt like it could be my last, as though the bridge beneath me could give way at any moment. The only thing keeping me grounded was the railing, my lifeline. I gripped it tightly, feeling the cold of the cable steel pressing against my sweaty palms. My heart was racing, adrenaline was pumping through me. The air was fresh and filled with the scent of damp cedar, and the only sound was the wind rustling through the tall trees. Looking out at the dense green rainforest, I was reminded that just beyond these trees lay the buzzing city of Vancouver, but in the moment it felt like I was worlds away. Finishing that walk was an accomplishment I'll carry with me forever, and it made me see Vancouver in a whole new light. It's an absolute must-see if you're visiting the city. Just maybe don't look down if you're afraid of heights. Vancouver's left a surprisingly deep impression on me. It's not just a place to visit, it's a place that invites you to explore, to get lost in its nature, and to connect with its people and history. I have a feeling I'll be back someday, but what about you? Planning your own Vancouver adventure? Drop your must-see spots in the comments. Just watch out for those sneaky seagulls. And don't forget to like and subscribe to join me on my next exciting adventure. Until next time, keep exploring, stay curious, and adventure aloud.